This is the KoperCrabb Podcast. What up?
I'm Cheney Crab.
Navene Copperwise in the building.
What's up, guys?
What up?
As usual, go and comment on, Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel or wherever you're watching the podcast or listening to the podcast from. We've got t-shirts up in the Big Cartel, which I'll link to. We have 3 coffee cups left, and I don't think that we're going to...
You mean these 3 right here? There's 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I think we literally have these 3. I think actually we're down to 2 because we sold 1 today. So one of those is going goodbye.
Yeah, if you want a piece of history.
I think that we'll probably, do coffee cups again in the future, but with not the same design. So if you want to, show your friends that you're an OG KoperCrabb listener, then you got to get in on this coffee cup.
We also have pretty cool shirt designs, by the way. We don't really talk about it enough. We have
I know.
Some rendition throwback wear for you guys. One is Hammer Smashed Crab. Nod to one of our favorite death metal bands. We'll let you figure it out. The other one is Crab Nation. Crabination.
Another nod to one of the best death metal albums.
Is it a node?
It's a nod.
A nod or an ode.
An ode. So
and
it's a node.
And then the third...
Its celebrity name is Node. And the third is to one of my, one of the bands that inspired me a lot when I was a kid, which is Nirvana.
We're not... Oh, I thought we weren't saying who they actually are.
Oh, sorry.
As if
we might get...
I was trying to be sneaky.
Arrested.
Also,
okay, so this is definitely not a nod.
Not a nod.
If anyone asks you.
To a grunge band. But we've had some time off, a couple weeks actually.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a while since we've done a podcast. Actually, because we've had so many guests on lately, it almost feels like longer since we've done a podcast. Because that's such a... I know it doesn't seem like it, but it's kind of a different experience when...
It's a different experience.
We have a guest.
It's less of the Navene and Cheney full experience.
Yeah. Which we know that's what you guys signed up for in the first place, right? The Navene and Cheney experience.
I mean, I know sometimes I used to... Some certain podcasts, if they have a guest, I'm like less likely to listen to it.
I do the same thing. And I actually thought about that. I was like, maybe there are people who actually enjoy listening to just the two of us talk.
Yeah, that would make sense because we are really entertaining and cool and funny.
Exactly my thought. So
our years.
I don't think an episode goes by when I don't fuck with this microphone. God,
add that to
it's never going to happen.
Yeah, our podcast room is... I know it looks like, just really professional.
Truly professional. I've actually had friends of ours say, I know your guys' podcast is super profesh.
I think Joel said it on the podcast.
Joel said it, yeah. Actually, Joel hit us up because we're going to do Cali Death.
Yeah.
And he was like, I know your guys, that our podcast is nowhere near as profesh as yours. And I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah.
We are so not professional.
No, I was doing something so not professional before the podcast, and I wanted to mention it, but I forgot what it was. It was like, I was going to bring up how I got this computer is from 2011. And I just switched to a new battery like 15 minutes ago on this computer. And so the battery would be... One time I think it just straight up died during a podcast. And
I think it did. It was actually the Miles, when we had Miles Baker on. Yeah, it died and we were like... Because
the battery was so shot that it doesn't charge as fast as it drains like when we're doing a podcast. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. So anyway, that was a thing. I put a solid state drive in it like years and years ago. So it's 128 gigs. So it's like, that's small. Yeah. So there's also been episodes where I'm sitting there like, it's like disk is full and I'm like deleting stuff while the episode.
I know, it's like...
I'm clearing out the trash and shit. I mean, it's like, dude.
It's Rinky Dink Records over here, dude.
Yeah, it's bad. And for some reason, we were like, all right, let's buy all just gear that we only use for the podcast. But of course, every time I come in here, like Cheney and I have like come in here to like borrow something from the podcast.
I inevitably weekly borrow mic cable. A mic cable from here.
I know, it's like no matter how many mic cables you buy,
there's never
enough, and I have to come take one from the podcast room.
And it's also, something, this is just a word to the wise out there. People, us, need to get better about if a microphone cable does not work, it needs to go.
Yeah, throw it in the trash.
It needs to go. I don't need to be like plugging 20 microphone cables in that don't work and wondering what the problem is all the time.
I'm the absolute worst at that. I'm just like, I'll fix it one day. Never going to fix it.
I was actually thinking about that because today I cleaned out our refrigerator. And I was just wondering, because there's inevitably in everyone's refrigerator a bunch of like condiments that get used over time. And there were just so many things in our refrigerator that I'm like, we could have thrown this away like 4 months ago. This is disgusting.
It's like low-calorie ranch from when we were on a diet 6 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. We haven't 6 years.
It wasn't 6 years. We haven't lived here for 6 years, but there was definitely stuff in there from probably December.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot. We're not disgusting human beings, but I'm just saying there are things that get caught in the back of a refrigerator or produce that you're like, oh, that seems like it's still crunchy. I'm not going to throw it away.
It's growing new produce out of the produce.
It's growing new. I can't tell you how much garlic I've thrown away in my life that was growing new. This is actually really bad. I don't want to say this because I should just be planting it. Right.
Planting the garlic?
Yeah. Does that work that way? I don't know. I haven't.
Well, sometimes
Googled
when we go grocery shopping and you'll go for the garlic, I'm like, oh, more garlic, huh? For the collection.
Yeah. Navene has a habit of the grocery store is the place I like to go with you the least because you tell me reprimand isn't the right word, but you advise me.
Shane's trying to
I don't think we should get that. I don't think we should get that.
Oh, that's really nice of you.
But then usually I just force it into the basket anyway.
I'm a tyrant at the grocery store.
You're a tyrant.
But you know what? One time I had like somewhat of a wake up call because I was at the store and a guy was with his girlfriend and she was like grabbing like stuff like, hey, why don't we get that? And he was like, no, we're not getting that. No. And like he wasn't being like mean, but I was like, I'm that guy.
Yeah, you're
like,
totally that
She was all
guy.
excited, like, babe, look at this new almond milk they have. And he's like, we don't need it. You can put it back.
But
and like she was all bummed. And I'm like, oh, man, that's me.
That's totally
that
Navene.
Sucks.
That is totally you. But the thing is that I also have a tendency to get a lot of stuff. And I was noticing as I was going through our produce store today, I was like, okay, I force a lot of things in here. Like, oh, I'm going to juice two bunches of carrots and a million celeries. And it's like, I like juicing a lot, but I'll do it for like 2 days in a row every so often. And then I'm like, this is too much fucking work. I'm going to go. If I want a juice, I'll go and pay the $8 for a juice because it's worth it.
Or, the $5.
I'm talking about like juice pressed in a machine. Like, we're
talking about high quality
broccoli juice.
All right, guys, we're not talking about fucking Dole and shit like that.
We're not talking about. The thing is, though, that we have all of the kitchen, like
the appliances. Yeah,
our appliance selection is we could open a restaurant because it's out of control.
I know, and you know what I've been doing lately is like the other day I wanted to make some kitchery, which for those of you who don't know, it's like rice and lentils and seasonings all just kind of mixed together, like kind of whatever you got. You throw it in a pot.
That's what it is. It's whatever you got, you throw it in a pot. I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life.
That's what it is. It's like, if you have any vegetables, you throw that in there. It's like an Indian thing.
I mean, I know what kitchery is, but
thick lentil rice.
I feel like everyone does that to some extent, right?
You mean like every
culture?
Yeah. So that's what I was doing. And I was like, I can't find the lid for the rice cooker or something like that. And I was like, I'm just going to use a pot. And it was like, this is way better.
Wow.
Like, and then you have we have like a slice. It's not a slicer. What is it? Food processor.
Yeah, we have
I'm even
food
avoiding
processor.
that. I'm like, I'll just dice it up with a knife.
We also have a Vitamix, which is
the Vitamix is sick.
If you are into smoothies and you don't know about the Vitamix, then you're totally missing out because
the world of high
and you can protest me all that you want. I've tried everybody's smoothie in the entire world. Oh, my smoothie maker gets rid of all of the spinach chunks.
Got an LCD screen.
And it's like, no, it doesn't. Yeah, you're the mixer, the blender you have, unless you have a Vitamix, mark my words, I don't care how high quality of a Ninja you have. I don't care.
That's bogus.
The Vitamix is the only fucking thing out there that's chopping that spinach, that you're drinking a shake that is purely blended.
It's high tech, high powered blending.
High powered.
And you know what else I love about it? It's low tech. It's been the same model since like forever. And the lid is just like the old school rubber lid. It doesn't like click on and it won't start unless the lid's on.
It's the same with the entire contraption. And I like that about it, because on every blender or food processor you get nowadays, you have to like click this into place and click that one. On the Vuckin Vitamix, all you have to do is set it on there.
It doesn't click into place.
No.
You just set it down on there, and then the lid is a rubber thing.
Yeah.
And this episode's brought to you by Vitamix this week.
I wish
discount
we could get a free
KoperCrabb. That would be sick if we could do that.
I know.
Dude.
I know.
Fuck.
We need
like Vitamix. It's the best blender, and use discount code KoperCrabb.
That is something I would promote. I won't sell my soul for cheap, but I'll.
Yeah. It would be cool to promote products that I actually like.
Yeah, I know. I mean, granted, I do like our direct sound headphones, and I do like the CBD that we've
I'm actually
gotten.
not wearing them, as you can tell.
Well, Navene, I forgot. We should bring up the story about your ears.
So I'm not wearing them because
Navene's going through a phase.
I'm going through a little bit of a phase here.
It's just a phase, Mom.
No, it's not a phase. So I'm not wearing them because they're a little tight, and your boy has got, what up, gauges, dude.
Oh, my God.
Can you see that? I don't know if you can see.
Well, they're so tiny that I don't.
Think again, dude. 4 gauge, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually used to have stretched ears back in the day.
Whoa, body modification.
Body mod. So I've been like joking around with Chani a lot about how her and I are into body modification because she has stretched ears and a nose piercing. And I'm like, yeah, we're into, body mods. That's our thing.
Yeah.
But I was like clicking around on Instagram because now I'm like into looking at the Instagram shopping. It's so bad. I would say it's an addiction, but it's
a habit that I do, and I tend to spend money.
Really, I bought a pair of pants that I'm actually wearing right now. That's the only thing I've bought.
I've bought a hairpiece, and I am about to buy a dress.
There you go. So anyway, Instagram shopping.
A really sick dress, for the record.
And it starts to know like the type of style I'm into. Like, oh, this guy's into like gothic spiritual wear. Or, you know what I mean? So it'll like give me that. And this guy had these fucking sick ass like big brass like hanger. They're not plugs, but they're like
hanging earrings.
They're probably only like a 4 or like a 2 gauge or something, and they just hang. And he had like big stretched ears, and they were just.
I believe they're called plugs, Navene.
No, they're not plugs.
Oh, you're gauging your ears with them? I don't know the correct
they're like
terminology.
hanger joints. So like you could put them in, and it would just hang, and it looks fucking hella sick. And I was like, damn, I kind of want to get some of those.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I got to stretch my ears back again. But this is, I was on tour, and I mean, my ears weren't like hella huge or anything. I had like a 00, which is like kind of big, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then we were swimming with like in a pool, and I lost one. So I was like, whatever, I'll just take them out. And that's that.
Yeah.
And that was like when I think I was like 21.
I think the same thing happened to me on tour, because I used to, and that's why I tend to wear these rubber plugs now, is literally because of when we started touring, or when I started touring a lot with Entheos, like headbanging a lot, which I tend to do on stage.
Oh, do you?
I tend to headbang. Corpse grinder levels of headbanging going on. But my plugs, if I wasn't wearing these kind, they would always fall out. And I would like be in the crowd.
This is the body mod episode.
I just wear these.
Damn, look at how huge
rubber
those are.
ones. But they would always fall out. I'm actually in the market for some new earrings. But anyway, they would always fall out.
I was
would be
actually
out.
thinking about you, Chani, because I was seeing all these crazy, because I went down like a little wormhole about like, cool plugs.
Totally.
And I was like, damn, Chani could get some hella fucking sick ones. You know what ones are sick that I was looking at? Mm-hmm. The teardrop shaped ones.
Oh yeah,
those ones
sick.
Look so fucking sick and creepy.
There are a lot of really sick ones. It's just, no offense to anyone out there who makes plugs, but every time I see the price of really sick plugs, I'm like, ooh.
Really? Oh, well, what's the damage that you're looking at?
I mean, a lot of the time
$100?
it's like $100, and I'm like,
I know,
well,
but if they're really
buy...
sick, then get.
I totally agree with you, and not, right now I think I could be in the market to get some sick plugs.
Yeah, I think the only reason
earrings.
I wouldn't do it is because it's like if you're gauging them up and you don't, you're just kind of passing through, right?
Also,
So,
I'm sort of in changing my jewelry, like it starts to annoy me to change my jewelry every night, and I wouldn't be able to sleep on those.
yeah, that makes sense.
That's another thing. I think that's really why I settled on just wearing these all the time, because I just starts to annoy me to change my jewelry all the time. But for, I'll throw on some.
I don't know, those teardrop
cool
ones
stuff.
would look evil as fuck.
I know, they
dude.
would look really
Things are
cool.
sick. So yeah, anyway, I was
wear
like, dang, I like those big brass hangy things. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to stretch them out again.
There you go.
So I go on Amazon and I'm like, ear stretch kit, right? And it's like 14 gauge to 00 sets of plugs. So for those who aren't into that sort of thing, that's like.
For those of you who aren't into extreme body modification,
like me,
like the
hold
two
on
of
a
us.
second. You want to get a shot of this? Look at this.
Navene, we've
Let me
seen
see
your
if-
ears enough this episode.
Let me see if
It's
I can get it
becoming
let
a
me see if I
thing.
can get it on close-up.
Oh my god.
It's anyway. So I'm like, okay, I don't even know if I can put anything through my ear or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I like went and took one of your little woodworking things and like just put it in there.
A woodworking thing?
Yeah, you have like these little woodworking.
What?
It's like a woodworking tool. I don't know.
What have you done?
Anyway, I was
Did
like,
you wash it?
no, I was like, let me just see if that'll go in. And I just
Okay.
put that in and I was like, okay, that went in. So I still have holes in my ears.
Oh, okay.
Because this was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
15 years ago or so that I took
Mm-hmm.
them out. So I'm like, all right, I still got holes in my ears. I ordered so I go on Amazon. It's like whatever, how many sets that is, 7 or 8 sets.
Yeah, I mean, Navene really got the 6 set
Dude,
going
it's so
on, because
dope.
back in my day when you could not order things off of Amazon when I was a teenager, I was going into Hot Topic like once a week and getting these taper sets. That's what it is. It's a taper set. And I was buying them, and I remember spending like $50 on 2 tapers.
Dude, when
just
we
to
stretched our ears back in the day, we were like, we didn't want to buy
this is
spring for the
disgusting.
taper, so we would just buy the set of plugs and then just
Oh my god, that is just
jam it in.
That's how you destroy your ears as a. I mean, even when I was a teenager, I was like aware of, okay, I don't, because I had seen people rip their ears
No, but
open.
mine were nice. They're healthy. They're good to go.
Yeah, you didn't go very far though.
No. So, what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, I'm like $15 for the whole set. It's 14 up to 00. That's like, for those of you who don't know, it goes 14, 12.
That's
10,
your favorite
and so
thing to
forth.
say about body modification. For those of you who don't know.
Well, I'm into that. This
Because I
thing
doubt
called
that
body
any of you
modification.
out there who have listened to metal your entire life and found out about us
Probably, I would say like 50% or more
are
has
plugged.
plugs
Or
over
sewn.
over 00. Yeah. Or they cut their earlobe off because it was so big and they want it to look normal now.
And then they ate it like Ricky.
Yeah, that's
Ricky
pretty hardcore.
Hoover. It's disgusting.
So I get the set, right, and it's got the taper thing that we're talking about, so you can shove it in, and then you follow it with the little plug. It's got the sets from
Okay, we got
nano
it.
to big.
We got it.
So I'm like, all right, let me see where I'm at. So I start off with I was like, I think the 10 would work, which is, it's bigger than a regular piercing, but it's.
I'm just dying at the vigor and intensity behind your ear story. This
So
is
anyway,
just,
I'll wrap it up.
You'd think that the ending was like some big.
There's no real ending, so I'll wrap it up. I'm like, okay, the 10 gauge fucking goes right in. Cool. But I was like, let me wear this for a couple days, and that's why it was really funny, because that's where my I'm into body modification joke was really shining, because a 10 gauge plug is like you can hardly see it, and I was like, yeah, I'm into stretched ear. It was just funny, kind of running around,
Oh my god,
being like,
it's not funny
it
anymore.
was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. I thought it was funny.
I did too.
So then 2 days later, I'm like, all right, let's try the 8 gauge. And then I'm like,
Babe.
boom, 8 gauge goes.
All right.
I'm like, boom, 8 gauge goes in, no problem. I'm like, all right, fuck that. Let me try the 6 gauge. Boom, 6 gauge goes in, no problem. Right? And I'm like, all right, well, let's see what's up with the 4 gauge.
Are
Right?
you serious?
I'm telling the story.
I know. I just haven't seen you this excited about
So I'm
a
like,
story.
all right, 4 gauge, here we go, baby.
In a while.
Because let me tell you why I was excited. Because I was kind of like, all right, I'm going to do this stretch ears thing again. I'm 35, so it's like, it's a silly thing to do when you're that old.
No, I think it's awesome. It's, a
No,
sign
you
of,
made fun
it's
of me
a
about
sign
it.
of
You were like, yeah,
midlife crisis.
I did that when I was like 18. So I was like, I was stoked because I was like, okay, I figured I would be like a 12. And then it's like once a month I'm doing it. So I'm like, maybe in like a year I'm going to have.
A lot longer, yeah.
So I'm like, this is sick. I can already put a 6 in there. Sick. I'm like, all right, let's try the 4. The 4 now. Whoa.
Is that what you have in?
Yeah.
That's what you had me pushing through your ear last
night? So the 4 was like a little, I didn't want, and I was like, let me just, and then I just fucking, with the taper, boom, hit it in. It was like, yeah, it's spiritually painful.
Dude,
Puts you in the moment.
I just remember those days, and it's just like your ear, just the stretching sensation of your ear. Not fun.
Well, you know what I was thinking of
Not
today?
Fun.
Is if that was the only pain associated with it, it would be rad.
But it lasts forever.
But yeah, it's like, I'm like, oh, I can't sleep on my side. Anyway, so I push it in. That sucked. Put the plug in. I had you do it, and you were all grossed out by it.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
So then I did the other. So I'm like, okay, the other one, I wasn't even going to fuck around with that. I just took the taper, greased it up, boom, stuck it in really quickly. I was like, okay, that hurt. Cheney, can you put the plug in? Cheney comes through, removes the taper. So now there's nothing in there. And I'm like, dude, did you seriously just do that?
The audacity.
I'm like, did you just do that?
The audacity.
So I had to go in the bathroom and stretch it again with the taper. I had to go through the pain twice.
Well, that's good because it probably helped it stretch out a little more.
And then I'm like, okay, I'll just fucking put the plug in. So I got the plug in there. I got it all good. Washed them. And honestly, like, not that bad. Like it's a little sore today, but like I'm like, I can touch it and it doesn't like really, it's not like pain. Because I remember when I was a kid and I first did a stretched ear, like the thing got all fucked up.
I remember a lot of people's stuff getting fucked up.
It got off, so it was like if you touched it, it was like, so this is like, I can.
What's weird is I actually remember when we started dating, the ear cheese. I think it's because I wore different. These earrings are also really good to prevent the smell that inevitably comes along with
I think also
stretching your ears. But my ear cheese, it was disgusting.
Well, what's kind of cool is this time going around with the stretcher. So let me wrap the story up. So
I'm
not gonna lie, I was kind of stoked that I'm already at a 4. What up?
Yeah.
Dude,
congratulations.
That's kind of
long story short.
4, 2, 0, 0. That's 3 more stretches, and then I'm back to where I was.
Congratulations, Navene.
And the thing is, though, I was like driving in my van today, and I was like, I was like looking at him in the mirror and stuff, and I'm like, why am I even doing this? I don't even care if I have, like, this is so dumb. I just did it totally random so I could maybe one day get these brass earrings. It's like ridiculous.
What's funny is we flew. So we went on a trip a couple of weeks ago to Florida, but when we were flying back home, on our second plane, I walked by a guy who I noticed had stretched ears. And when I walked by, I saw him look at my ears and then start feeling up his ears.
Oh, that's weird.
And that was the only time that I've remembered that I had stretched ears, in ever. Because it's weird how once you get something, a tattoo or a piercing,
it's just there.
You just forget about it. You totally space off that it's there anymore.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, me being a big body modification guy, I don't really think about my ink. I don't think about my gauges very often.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of letting them breathe
big
a little bit.
into body mods.
I'm going to let them breathe for a little bit.
So, tune in. If
it.
Nothing else, tune in weekly just for Navene's ear saga, because this is going to be a good one, folks.
No, you can totally see it from there. It looks like a gauge. Boom.
That's congratulations.
That's Insta-gauge, baby.
A round of applause for Navene.
So, yeah, I'm going to be looking all crazy spiritual with these gnarly fucking...
Well, you're going to have to, put a plug in your lip to really look.
I don't think so.
I guess that's tribal, not spiritual.
Yeah, but what else? I had another topic. But I took the headphones off, and now I feel like I'm not on the podcast anymore. It's weird.
I know, that's why I didn't want to do the podcast without headphones.
Let me put them back on here.
But that's actually why I don't like recording with those headphones, because they're not tight enough on my head.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. These are just nice and loose, and they... will be.
So I guess good for this situation, but bad for Cheney for tracking, which
Yes, absolutely.
is a thing I do.
So yeah, we did go to Florida, and we canceled the podcast that week.
Yeah.
We had a plan. We had a grandiose plan to be like, we're going to do 2 podcasts in 1 week.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have one to post while we're gone. Oh, guess what happened? We didn't do any that week. We canceled 2 of them.
Well, you know what really happened is that we went over to our friend's house. So we've been, we're going to have a cool announcement coming up next week for our band. And we've been working on a lot of things regarding that announcement. And so we were working really hard on the announcement and stuff. And we were like, you know what? We should go hang out with our friends for once and drink a little.
Yeah.
Because we do tend to, we work on stuff all the time. We really do.
Yeah, and that's also, we work jobs on top of that.
Yeah,
so
we have jobs.
A lot of the time
when
I get home from work, it's like, okay, what are we doing today? Like yesterday, we did a photo shoot.
Yes.
For this huge announcement that's coming soon. And we took a really sick picture, by the way.
We did, and you guys will maybe see it. Maybe you won't.
I mean, we've been getting into photography. We've been getting into
videography.
We made like a cinematic movie.
Yeah, well, really what we're trying to do is that, here's the thing. Navene and I are both super creative people. And when I say that, I mean that we both have a vision for how we want everything to look and feel.
100%.
And luckily, we have the means. We, over time, have developed the skills to be able to do everything that we want to do sort of in-house, which I think can be critical for people like us, for people who are, I won't say that we're controlling, but I will say in that, like, the art, this is starting to annoy me.
I'm getting all kinds of texts.
But I'm starting to, I'm not starting to anything, but in our creative process, is that where I was? In our creativity,
you're saying,
we like having a lot of control over the way that things end up in the long run. And because of that, over time, we both know a lot about,
Well, this is something we've been working on.
We have.
In the past, we haven't been doing our own photo shoots we've made like playthroughs and stuff like that. But over the last 1 to 2 years specifically, we've been really trying to ramp it up. Like, can we actually make super professional photos on our own, just at home?
Right. Which, actually is funny.
In a comfortable environment.
Yeah, it's kind of funny thinking back because we almost have flipped the things that we do in-house in our band. Because it used to be that we would, like everything would be mixed. Well, actually, that's a lie. Sorry, I was just going to lie about something. Because Zach has always worked on our stuff. But I was just thinking about Remember Your Dust, which you mixed and everything. And now we're sending everything out. Everything's being mixed by other people. But we're trying to take the actual imagery, aside from the album art, into our own hands a little more.
Yeah, so video stuff. Well, I mean, we're talking about doing our own music video coming up. I think what we've been working on, this little cinematic piece, we'll call it, was kind of like a test run for like, okay, how would it look if we tried to make a music video? And it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. And because here's the thing, when you shoot a music video or when you take photos as a band, what will happen is you may have someone in mind, but in the past, we haven't. Keep in mind that the last album that we worked on was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was 4 years ago. So I don't think that there was like a fully realized vision about this is what we want our videos to look like. This is what we want
the photos to look like.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to wear in the photos.
In that case, when you don't know what you want your videos to look like or who you would like to work on them or your photos, the label will recommend people. And then what will happen is those people will send in this a one-page synopsis of how they're going to make your music video look, and it's called a
treatment.
A treatment. Okay, so they send you the treatment. Say 2 directors, 2 cinematography companies will send you a treatment, and then you can choose one of the 2. And I like the way that our videos turned out for the stuff in the past, but what I would like to do is not necessarily rely on someone else's vision. Granted, now I'm more aware of who I would have work on our stuff if what I'm thinking doesn't work out. And I would actually like to have these two people be involved to be there to like help us realize the vision.
Right.
But now more than ever, we're super involved with everything visually that's going on with our band.
100%.
So we're trying, basically over time, we've just tried to, be a part of that more and more and actually be the crew as well as being the artist.
And I mean, the easier, the clearer the vision that you have for the project as a whole, it's the easier it's going to be for people to digest what you're doing, right? And then B, for other people that you're working with, they're going to have an easy time jumping in there and being like, okay, I see where they're going. I'm going to add to that.
That's so true. That's
something that we have kind of, I've personally learned that late in the game.
Yeah. Me too, because for me, I never was focused on that. I've always been focused on the music.
So I'm making music. And then even
art.
that is like, okay, maybe I should try to have a little more direction as to what is going on. Like, it's still going to be crazy and everything, but in terms of maybe production elements, what fits where, maybe simple stuff is like, I mean, I've said this for a while, but simple things are like, don't have a solo going while there's vocals over it.
We've always
focus.
Done that. I've always been so against that.
Focus the everything.
Yeah.
Try to focus on like what it's supposed to be, what the vibe is supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that is the best piece of advice that
I really think so, man.
That you could get in starting a band and in like knowing where to go, what to do with it, is that just what you said, the clearer the vision, the easier it is going to be for every single other piece to fall in line.
100%.
Period. Everyone who works for you, every band you tour with, every piece of art that you use, every visual element, every musical component, it will all be easier if if you have a vision for it.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that it has to be something that someone else has already done. It just means like think about all that stuff, and it's going to really help in the long run.
I mean, more than anything, I don't think that it should be something that someone else has done. I think that you should have a very clear vision for what you want, and it doesn't have to be following anyone else's footsteps at all. I mean, you can get inspiration wherever you look and say, oh, I want to integrate this thing that person's doing is really cool, and I want to integrate that, exactly. But I also don't like this, but maybe I like that from someone else, and I like, Yeah.
I mean, another thing that I think, for me, what I take a lot of inspiration is just more general practices that I see other people doing, right? Like, so it's like, oh, wow, they're all like unified in their photo. They look really, that's a cool, they thought about that. So maybe we don't look anything like them, but I got the idea. It came across in some of the band's photo, like, oh, they thought about what it was going to look like.
Absolutely.
That kind of thing. Or for social media stuff, I'll say, oh, they're like, posting a video that's looks a certain way or is framed in a certain way, but it might not have anything to do with what I'm doing.
Right,
but I'm taking the inspiration just off of the concept behind it.
Absolutely.
I guess you could say.
And the podcast, we love doing the podcast, and we're like funny people on the podcast and everything, but we both take our art very seriously. Yeah. And we want it to be, we both know what we want out of it and what we want it to be. And so that I think bringing all of this stuff together over the past couple of years, since Navene and I have become the members of our band, it's really like helped us in understanding all of these things about ourselves.
Definitely. And that's a hard part when you have a lot of members in a band. That now it's everyone's has to get on board, or it's some people are going like, why are we doing this? It's stupid. But so that's something that's hard to figure out.
I mean, being in a band is really complicated. Being in a band is one of the hard, they say, I think you said this the other day, They say that being in a band is like being in a relationship, but really, depending on the amount of members, it's like being in a relationship with every single person in the band. So it's like, and then there's this huge, so you have,
like, yeah, definitely.
You'll have the interpersonal relationships, obviously not on a sexual level, but you'll have
some bands, I don't know.
Well, yeah, well. But you'll have the interpersonal relationships, and then you have the relationship of the band as a whole, and like who sees themselves in what position, and it's a lot of like personalities. And I wouldn't ever talk against being in a band. I think it's awesome. It's one of the coolest experiences ever. But you also end up seeing a lot of bands break up because people can't get along, or they don't see eye to eye on one thing, and it just causes a rift forever.
Totally.
So it's a really complicated relationship,
So it's a lot easier when there's two people is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I think,
and we mean that with there's literally no diss.
I'm not going to say, oh, it's way easier, but I think what it has led to is it's forced me and Cheney to have to think about more.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be like, all right, well, it's just us, so what's that going to look like?
Yeah.
Or what are we doing here? Whereas before, maybe somebody else would have an opinion about something, and I would just not say anything about, oh, that sounds cool.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's a lot like, just for example, when we started Entheos and all the other bands that I was in, I wasn't like the guy who went and got paid after the show.
I know.
So in the same way, I had to learn just different roles.
Oh man. I mean, I think that we were coming from a place where there were a lot of people who just didn't really know how to even totally run a band.
Yeah.
So we were dealing with that from
100%.
the beginning as well. While being in a place where our band was like already on metal sites and already in different places because of the people who were in it. So it was all just, this has all been a learning process to us.
Still is too.
Still is, absolutely. We learn new stuff fucking constantly. But at this point, I just feel like we know what we're doing. We know where we want to go artistically. And I feel like that, there's more control being taken and more love and care being placed on that than ever before.
Ooh, love. I like it. Yeah, no, it's a good time.
I'm really proud. I'm really proud
We're
to
very
start.
proud. And I think, well, this episode will be out tomorrow, but by the time the next episode is out.
Yeah, we'll be in a new chapter of our band,
We'll be talking about some stuff.
Yeah, so we're really excited about it. And
I guess
that's it.
We should probably do.
It's been honestly a lot. We haven't put out an album for 4 years. And it's because
Done some growing.
We've had a lot of growing to do.
Yeah. Some growth.
A lot. Yeah.
So you want to take some questions?
So yeah, we have a couple of questions this week. So let's get to those. All right. Should I read the first one or do you want to, Navene?
Well, if it's for me, you should read it.
Oh, it's for you. Okay. Ryan. Hey, Cheney and Navene. Loving the podcast, and I have a question. For Navene, did you always do double strokes with your feet, or were you using swivel before? Honestly, I have no idea what this means because I'm not a drummer. But Matt Halpern was talking on the Downbeat podcast about drummers completely changing their style, and he mentioned you. Ooh, name drop.
Yeah, I like that.
You got a name drop, Navene.
First of all, I really like that people are talking about me on podcasts. Yeah. That's nice.
That's 2 wins for Navene this week.
Unless
got
they were,
down to a 4.
maybe they were talking smack. Saying
they might have been talking crap. We're gonna have to go look through it.
Well,
listen.
I think, I'm the type of. Well, first of all, no, I haven't always been doing doubles. I've dabbled with it over the years, like just work it up one day and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can kind of do that.
Let's explain what doubles are because I
so there's a few different types of doubles. He's referring to the bass drum technique, and I learned like a really long time ago, there's a double that you can do where you actually hit it with your heel and then hit it with your toe. So
that's called heel toe.
Yeah, that's heel toe. I don't do that. What I do now is it's like a more a newer way of doing it. Like the first guy I saw do it is John Longstreth, and maybe they'll call it heel toe, but it's definitely not. It's like you kind of just like here's the pedal board and then here's your foot. and you hang your foot kind of off the back of it. So when you hit it, you put like some pressure on it, and it just does like a double. It's really weird. It's like magic. Mm-hmm. And so I learned how to do that a few years ago for sure. But I would do it here and there and then just be like, yeah, that's kind of dumb. I don't like care. It wasn't that fun to actually do the technique. But then this year, I was like, all right, this year I'm going to get really fucking sick with the double bass because I'm sick of not being able to play as fast as I want to. And then with the new Entheos that I was writing, it required like a lot of speed picking parts, and I wanted to match it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to fucking get this, right? And so I'm like doing it all the time, posting videos of it. I'm doing the doubles, blah, blah, blah. So I got pretty proficient with it. But that's what I do, and it's cool, but you can only hear it if it's with triggers. Like if you don't hear it without the triggers, it sounds like you're just doing eighth notes, but there's really 16ths going on. So I actually, when people ask me on my Instagram and stuff, I'll just straight up say like I call it cheater doubles. That's what I call it. Maybe
no cheating. And
other people might be like mad at me for saying that, but it kind of is a cheater double, and that's what I do, and it sounds sick as fuck.
Well, you did get that pedal. You don't use it, but that pedal that was actually for heel toe, which is what I've always heard.
Yeah.
Of that pedal existing, and
the heel. Yeah. So I did. Cheney's spilling the beans, so I was trying to keep this a secret.
Oh, were you really?
Not really. It doesn't matter. I'm selling them. I don't want them anymore. They're stupid. Yeah. But I was just I've always heard of these pedals where there's like a heel. Okay, so there's actually a heel kick, and it's attached to a beater. So you have like two beaters on the same pedal, and there's one for the heel, one for the toe. And I was like, dang, I'm gonna fucking try those, whatever. But well, for one, my idea was to do heel, toe, and that would be really cool. But I mean, I'd have to fucking practice.
They seem so hard to use. Like if you sit down with them, my feet are really short, so I wonder if that has something to do. I don't know. It's just it was really hard to push.
So not only is it really hard, but every time somebody who sees you with that, they're gonna say you're cheating, and they're gonna say it's stupid and
totally.
And then I was thinking, it's like, do I really want to spend that much time learning how to do it? And then furthermore, do I want to like deal with everybody saying that I'm cheating? Not really. Like we're already to a point now where people don't think triggers are cheating, so I'm in. I'm grandfathered.
Yeah,
I'm good to go.
You just got in.
And then furthermore, it's like I did notice that I could just probably spend that same amount of time that I would do on that on my regular pedal and just be way sicker with the regular pedal.
Totally.
So I'm just like, whatever, I'm selling them. It doesn't matter.
Totally.
So if you guys want to buy those, you let me know. They're on Reverb.
If you want to experiment with them.
They're on my Reverb store, which is Drum and Synth Nerd.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Nice. I didn't know that you had that name.
Yeah, Drum and Synth Nerd. I sell... Sometimes I'll buy shit just to try it, and then I put it on there to sell.
Do you consider yourself a nerd?
Not really. That's just what I named my store.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think... Yeah, I don't know. That was just the first thing that I thought of.
You're like a cool nerd.
Cool nerd, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm rare. Anyway, so for the second part of the question, which was drummers that change their style, I think that I have done that for sure.
I mean, totally have. How have you not? I mean, I honestly feel like... Okay, when I found out that you were going to, like I've said before, I read on Lambda far before I knew you that the drummer of Animosity was joining Animals as leaders, and I was like, okay, that's gonna be interesting. This guy plays like thrashy death metal.
People were talking shit, dude.
Were they? Were there doubters?
There was doubters.
Were there people like messaging?
It got back to me, dude. Back to me. There was certain persons who were, like, I don't know if he's a good.
Doesn't seem like a hater anymore.
I don't know if he's a good pick. Maybe that guy, doesn't have the groove in him. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I'm like, that's my whole thing is fucking groove. What are you talking about?
Right. I mean, that is, if you go back and listen to Animosity, that the drumming has always been like the outstanding, the groovy drumming is one of the outstanding.
But I could see how you would think that, because I mean, to be fair,
if you aren't a death metal drummer,
I honestly didn't know that I could do it. I just said I could. Yeah. I literally was just like, Tosin was my friend, and I heard that he was gonna have a band, and I was like, I want to be in the band. Fuck that.
Totally.
And I was like, I got that. No problem. I could do that. Are you kidding me? Easy. And meanwhile, I've never even played an odd time beat in my life.
Yeah. True.
So I did make it work, but there was a point where I was like, what have I got myself into? This is gnarly. But So yeah, I'm constantly doing stuff like that. I will rearrange my drum kit. I will break it all down and rebuild. There's no
literally daily. I'm here.
Yeah,
to,
there's
I'm
no
here
like
to
pride
witness it.
with me. Like I don't mind being like, all right, I'm gonna suck at this for a while and get better at it. Or I don't, like I said, there's no. I'm not like, oh, I got my own way of doing it. I've been playing drums for 25 years, which is the truth. But it's like when I see people, on Instagram, that's like honestly how I watch most drumming these days.
Yeah.
And I'll see people on there and I'll be like, dude, that's fucking sick. I'm props to that guy. I'm going to go practice what that guy's doing. I don't have there's no part of me that's like, I'm good to go. I don't feel that way at all. I always feel like when I'm inspired to do something, that's the best way that I could feel. So when I see somebody, check out this hand technique, blah, blah, I'm like, okay, that's awesome. I want to try that.
I wholeheartedly agree with that because I think it's really important to constantly learn from people who you enjoy and never be too like egotistical.
Yeah.
Never
totally.
be so egotistical that you believe that you're at the end of the road as far as any creative or growing process goes, because with drumming or with vocals or with whatever, the road is never ending. There's constantly something that I can get online and look at YouTube that a little kid is a kid 10 years younger than me is doing with their voice that I just haven't done. But you know what's cool is that now that YouTube exists and all of this stuff, we can go back and we can go through videos and see what the kids are doing and kind of learn from them rather than getting stuck in what we're doing. I mean, honestly, it's like if you never grow as a musician, then it kind of to me, it takes a lot of the fun out of it.
I agree. And I think with people that are in their 30s, maybe they've been playing their instrument for 20 years or so. Yeah, like you kind of there is that tendency to sort of, I don't want to say be jealous, but it's like, I think it is somewhat of a form of jealousy when you're like, oh, that's stupid what all these kids are doing. I don't need to do that. And it's like, I mean, kind of, but it's also like really sick. Like with the doubles thing, I could easily be like, that's fucking dumb. I don't need to do that. I'm like all natural, baby. And it's like, I guess, but I want to go really fast too. Fuck it. That's fucking cool.
Totally.
Like, let me learn how to do that.
Exactly. There's something to be learned from everyone. And
Totally. And
there's a reason it exists. Why wouldn't you learn to do something? It's something to add to your arsenal that you can pull out in a cool time. It doesn't mean you have to do it all the time.
It's incorporation of that stuff.
It helps you grow as an artist to never be too closed-minded. And it's just really important. I wouldn't be closed-minded, and I mean that as far as like learning things from people or listening to certain kinds of music, and that can be used all over the board. I'm always baffled when someone tells me that they like will not listen to a certain style of music.
It's like, why?
Why would you do that? Why would you limit yourself?
Check it out.
There is so much sonically to be offered in different genres of music. Like I love country music, and I think that it's made me excel in certain areas of my writing, and it's everything helps. Why close anything off, especially if you're a fucking artist?
Yeah. I mean, and I would even take it a step further and you should do that with
everything in life.
You shouldn't be like, oh no, let me, like, I think there is a problem today with people having such extreme like opinions about everything, and I don't mean that like, that leads to the whole discussion of like, oh, there's all these political opinions. I don't really mean that. I just mean more like, since everybody is looking at so much like data all the time, you get this false sense of I know everything. So
absolutely.
When someone brings someone, let me tell you about, it's like,
right,
dude, you don't know that much. And I mean, I even think of a lot is like, what is an opinion? I don't. I guess I'm getting kind of meta on everybody, but it's like,
you're right.
What is an opinion? I don't even think there is such a thing as an opinion. You're just taking something that you heard someone else say or do and you liked it, and now that's becoming a thing that you're going to say and do.
Well,
That's all it is.
I
That's
think,
what an opinion
I think
is,
that
right?
opinions are circumstantial.
Yeah, and they can be
you become opinionated based on the things that you ingest.
100%. So there's circumstance, and then there's also just, I saw that, I liked it, I'm going to pass it on to other people. But
that's still circumstance. That's because the reason that you see that the reason that you have it to pass on in the first place is because of the circumstance of you being present to witness such a thing.
I agree.
You know, like I don't watch the news, so by circumstance, I don't really like know, nothing that I'm regurgitating is like from that.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So I guess what I'm saying is maybe put down the false idea that, this is my idea. Here, let me tell you how it's going down. Because it's like, well, it's not really even yours to start with. It's just something that you heard and you're going to tell somebody else about it. So you don't actually know that much.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've been trying to be in all dealings with people, not just with music and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really important because I do think that it's easy to be like a total know-it-all.
I think that's a default for a lot of people.
Totally.
And that's kind of, because I get it. I mean, you want to feel like it feels good to tell somebody about something that they don't know about.
Yeah, I feel like it makes you feel like you belong or you have a place in a conversation.
Yeah, totally. Whereas it's also, I think, in our, like, it's not as popular to be like, you tell me something and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Tell me more about that.
Because it's a form of defeat. It makes I think that it can inspire insecurity in people.
That's what I'm saying.
To admit that they're wrong, but it also takes
not wrong, but that
they don't
something.
know.
Yeah,
that they don't know.
In our society, it seems like everyone wants to be like, no, I'm the one who knows the most.
Yeah.
I'm the one, and it's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, we live in an information society.
Totally, and I think maybe just be aware of it at least, and I think that has changed the way I view talking to people for sure. Because I'm like, I still get the urge sometimes to be like, hey, let me tell you what's up. But it's like, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
What's the point of it? It doesn't really do much other than try to prove that you know a lot.
Right.
Which is like, well, I don't even really need to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's a good conversational tool to not do that as well because it is a little more inviting in conversation, and it makes you a warmer person to talk to.
And it's great for the other person.
Yeah.
Let them, give them that satisfaction of telling you something that they, want to feel knowledgeable about.
Yeah.
Yeah, little
that was a good answer.
little side, I guess, did that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. Do you want to read the second question?
Yeah. So it's Gabriel. I think Gabriel writes in a lot, doesn't he?
I think he wrote in one other time.
Yeah. No, he said, first off, thanks for answering all my other questions.
Because we answered them in one entire podcast. That's why it's...
Okay.
Yeah, we did a lot of questions by him.
I didn't expect it to take up half a podcast. Ha. Well, now he's back.
He's like,
yes,
please take up a whole nother one this time.
Navene, and lived in Salinas during the time of the SC scene. So what he's talking about is Salinas was like a half hour away from where I grew up.
Salinas hardcore.
And that's Santa Cruz. So the Santa Cruz scene. No driver's license, so I was limited.
Damn bummer, man.
I've been back in Santa Cruz for a while now, though. A few years ago, I ran into both of you at the movie theater downtown.
I think I remember that. I think we were with your mom.
Oh, really? I get stopped a lot when I go downtown, so, I don't remember.
Yeah, just constantly. I was going to say, do you remember the one time that we were at Grocery Outlet and we were with Sean? It was around Christmas one year or something, and we were walking behind Grocery Outlet, and a guy stopped us, and he was like, oh, Cheney and Navene.
Yeah, I actually went back over there and gave him a lesson. He lived near there.
Oh, okay. Well, he looked at Sean, and he was like, oh, are you like their manager?
That's hilarious. Which is my brother's name is Sean. So he was wearing an Animosity sweater. We were walking out, and Navene approached me and asked if I like Animosity, and then continued to tell me that he was a drummer. Wow, I was like, I usually don't do that.
Navene is that was super humble of you.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you
usually
like
I'm
that
just
band?
like, well, yeah, I'll do that. I'll be like, oh, Animosity, huh? That's cool.
You always got to say something, though.
I was caught so off guard, I was speechless. I guess that's it. Is this a comment or is there a question?
No, it's the questions are below.
Oh, okay.
Little further
So,
down.
Cheney, how did it feel making the move from Iowa to California? Was it something you looked forward to? Did you get homesick? And is Santa Cruz better than LA?
Is Santa Cruz better than LA? Okay, so this is a multifaceted question.
It's going to take some of that to unpack.
How did it feel making the move? Well, to be honest with you, so Navene and I started dating. It was quite the whirlwind romance. And I flew to Seattle, I think it was in February, to meet up with Navene. I toured with him for a week. Yeah. That was like our first date, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Navene happened to be moving with Animals as Leaders to LA at the same time from the Bay. Navene had lived in the Bay. So I'm from
Santa Cruz, but I moved up to San Francisco and then Oakland. So I was in Oakland, and then Animals was in Washington.
Yeah.
And Washington, D.C., and they're going to move to L.A. And they're like, let's get a house. You should move down. I'm like, okay, let's do that for sure. Obviously.
Yeah, so that was happening, and Navene and I spent that week together on tour, and we both basically, it was like, this is going to happen.
We're going to do this.
So I flew back out to L.A. after that tour, and I lived in L.A. for like a month. And then I flew back to Des Moines, and I was in Des Moines working for like 2 weeks, and then I finally flew back to LA and made it official. So
that was
it wasn't. Of course, I was looking forward to, because I was in love, and I was stoked to move to LA. It was way cooler than Iowa. Obviously, there's legal weed. I mean, Navene was here. Cool. I love Iowa, and I love my family, and I miss my family, but at the time it was very like, let's fucking do this.
You're also like 22.
I was 22 and we were partying. Like, LA was a party. That's the
like,
time of our lives we were in. The Animal House was a party. We were partying every day and having a fucking blast.
It was just wake up at like 12 and then go get Vietnamese food and be like, what are we doing tonight?
Absolutely. No one had jobs. We were literally living the life in LA in a nice house.
To be fair, sorry to throw a little bit of salt on it, but we were living the life for sure.
Yeah.
But we had zero money at all.
We had $0.
Which doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying you can still have a great time in that.
But we were all in it together. It was before Animals really hit. Yeah, I mean, totally. Animals, it was obvious that something was going on with the band, and it was blowing up. But like, it was before Animals was a huge band. You guys weren't making a ton of money. We were fucking chilling. It was so fun.
Having a good time.
So it was amazing, and I looked forward to it, of course. So that summer that I moved to LA, we did a month-long tour. I did merch for Animals. And then we came back to LA, and Animals continued to have a really long touring schedule. I think you were in Europe for like 7 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was at home. I was in our house that had once been like the party capital. I was in our house just by myself for 6 weeks in LA. I knew no one.
Yeah.
My best friend flew out for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, but then he was gone. And then it got a little... That's when it started to get a little weird for me. Like, okay, I actually miss all of my friends a lot now that no one's around.
Yeah. You had like a chance to kind of catch your breath.
Yeah.
With the parties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I got super, I wouldn't say that I got like super depressed, but I was pretty bummed out. But it was a really good time for reflection in my life. Like, I feel like I changed a lot in that time.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. I mean, overall, it was the best decision that I made. Obviously, we're still together 11 years later,
Not married, though, by the way.
Still not married.
Won't put a ring on it.
We've got a long-term engagement. Santa Cruz that's a whole nother thing.
That's
about
coronavirus,
LA.
by the way. We were supposed to get married.
Yeah.
That was a joke I was making.
The whole, okay, do I currently get homesick? No, I don't, because California is my home now. I've lived here for so long. I have friends here. Navene's family I love. I don't get homesick. I miss my mom, and I miss my best friend and my friends in Des Moines. But luckily, we're going back to visit Des Moines in a week. I haven't been home in 2 years because of coronavirus and touring.
Yeah.
I miss them greatly, but luckily there's the internet, man. I text my mom. My best friend and I talk every single day. It's chill. Santa Cruz. The whole other thing about LA is that
It sucks.
the rumors you have heard are super true. LA is a ladder climbing society. That's what everyone who was our age at the time was out at the clubs to do.
Yeah.
Climb the ladder.
Make connections.
Make connections. And that honestly is a part of what bummed me out about being in LA.
Yeah. You weren't used to people just like being
fake.
You are used to people just being like, hey, you seem cool. Let's hang out.
Yeah, I was used to real people. I'm from fucking Des Moines, Iowa, where, everyone's real there. And in LA, it was such the opposite that it really turned me off. And I don't think I would ever move back to LA, personally. Yeah. Santa Cruz is by far better than LA. Just
I always
overall.
knew you'd like it here. And I said that too, because before we moved to LA, we went to my mom's.
Yeah, we
Santa
stayed
Cruz.
here for about a week.
Because I had all my stuff in a little minivan, and I stopped at my mom's, picked you up. I actually borrowed my mom's friend's car to go get you
I
from the
remember
airport.
that, yeah.
And then, well, that was actually before you moved here. That was when we were just going down to LA for the first time.
Yeah, you were driving to meet up with animals, and that trip was the first time that I'd heard Evan was about to put out his solo album, and you had it, and we've talked about that before, and I have so many good memories from
But yeah, I was like, you will love Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Because it's super chill, down to earth. If you're from a small town, it is a small town.
It's super witchy and, forward thinking, and Santa Cruz is awesome, and,
it's the best.
I love it so much.
Speaking
there are
of
metal
shit
people
closes
everywhere.
early. What time is it? We need to get burritos.
Yeah, we need to get burritos. It closes at 11.
Okay.
It's only 9.
Okay, cool. Okay, that burrito watch.
Plus Santa Cruz, just overall as a terrain. I mean, it's mountainous. The ocean. We live 2 blocks from the ocean. The trees, the redwoods.
It's amazing.
I by far prefer NorCal to SoCal. I'm a NorCal
fucking day of the week,
person. It's gonna be hard to peel me out of here.
I do like the hotter weather that LA provides.
I don't really care about that.
But honestly,
care about it.
When it's nice in Santa Cruz, it's the best.
LA is just so gridlocked, and from anywhere we lived in 2 different houses in LA, and from both of them it took us 2 hours to get to the ocean.
Yeah,
because of traffic. It's just so crowded.
Yeah, I mean, we're a stone's throw from the ocean right now.
Yeah,
we could literally walk over there in 10 minutes.
Honestly, I enjoy silence. I'm not really a big city person.
My silence.
I wouldn't live in San Francisco. I wouldn't live in the actual Bay.
Because Chan and I are like actually really loud people, so
we need silence.
We like being loud, and we want everything else to be quiet.
Exactly. I have enough loudness in my head all day
But honestly,
long.
I mean, lately I've been feeling really like meditative and chill and stuff. So I go in the backyard and sit there, and I just love the silence and the sunshine
and you can get that here, which I never
birds
experienced that in LA. Maybe in the hills.
Yeah. That when you're in LA or a place like that, to experience those simple niceties, you have to have like a lot of money.
Absolutely. I mean, here you kind of do, honestly.
For sure.
But one thing that I really love about Santa Cruz that is so drastically different than LA is that there is not a billboard here.
There's no billboards.
Not a billboard.
Is that like a thing, like a law? Because there just isn't billboards.
It might be. If you drive along Highway 1, there are no billboards. And it still, now it will like frighten me when we go to San Jose or go to San Francisco and there are billboards everywhere. I'm like, whoa, I'm in the big city.
Or the buses don't really have like billboards on them. Like I think the bus will have like an ad for like the hospital or something. Yeah. It's not like a movie that's coming out or like some corporate store.
Right. I mean, I think that Santa Cruz is kind of the place. Granted, it's cold, so people don't envision that about California, but they envision.
It's not cold all the time, but it gets a little chilly.
I mean, okay, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., it's not cold in the summer. Yeah. But it's more of the vibe that people envision. It's the surf town with the people who are like, yo, dude, like, what's up, bro?
Bunch of bros.
And Santa Cruz is the best, man. I mean,
love Santa Cruz.
Come on.
It's the best.
So yeah, that was my big spiel about LA and
likes Santa Cruz more than LA.
Yeah.
Could you believe it?
Love it here. But as far as getting homesick, I'll always have love in my heart for Iowa. I grew up there. It's so much a part of who I am.
Well, Iowa's always with you on your arm.
And I have it tattooed on my arm, which
body
I've thought about
modification
covering up several times in my life.
I know, you can't cover it up.
The
Someone
older
from Iowa would be like, boo, ban, like, boycott Cheney.
Yeah,
She
I
turned her
know.
back on us.
But it's not about that. It's just about I'm getting older now. And I'm like, do I want a state tattoo?
I mean, that's a
on my
nice
arm?
way to put it, but you are turning your back on the state.
Okay.
You left and covered up the tattoo.
I know. It's like.
Doesn't look good on paper. Yeah. Okay, then also, I think this is a 3-parter.
All
Did
right.
you attend any big festival tours like Ozfest, Warp Tour as a fan? If given the opportunity, would you play one of those tours, or do you guys prefer smaller slime-ups for time?
I guess
more
it just.
time, I guess.
I never got to go to Ozfest or Warp Tour because none of them came to Iowa.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't know that.
I've never been to Ozfest or Warp Tour or. Let's see, the biggest metal
That's
festival
crazy,
I've been
dude.
to is Heavy Montreal.
Oh, and you did play it.
And I did play it. So I only go to festivals I play.
That's crazy, man. See, that's what's cool about another thing that's cool about Santa Cruz. Sorry to go back to how great Santa Cruz is.
Mm-hmm.
You're close enough to go to that stuff.
Absolutely. You're so
Ozfest
close.
was in Mountain View,
Right.
which is 1 hour away.
Yeah, for me it was like a
Tops.
6-hour drive.
Yeah. So yeah, I went to Warp Tour, Ozfest.
Mm-hmm.
You name it.
The second part of the question, if given the opportunity, would we play one of those tours or do you
Yeah.
guys prefer smaller lineups? We'd play one of the tours, but honestly, it wouldn't be my favorite tour I ever did. From what I've heard, Warp Tour is gone now, but
Yeah.
it's utter hell.
Right.
Everyone
And you
talks
gotta
about
pay a lot to be on those tours.
you have to
by the
pay
way,
a
guys.
shit ton of money to be on those tours. Straight up, I'm probably never going to a metal festival in my life unless I'm playing it.
Yeah.
I'm never, but I will go to like a dance music festival.
Well, we are going to a 3-day dubstep festival, guys.
Yeah.
That's happening.
That is happening. I don't
But
know.
this
Going
is like
to a
some
3-day,
more underground type.
going to a
campground.
huge metal festival thing just doesn't have. It doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that as a fan.
No,
Even though I am a metal fan.
I'm a huge metal
Well,
fan.
I would go. It just depends.
Probably not.
I'm not gonna go camp out for 3 days at a metal fest. It's not happening.
I probably wouldn't even go stand in line for one.
Oh, I guess he's more asking about Ozfest.
Oh,
I mean, I go. The thing is, like, we're so like in that thing that it's like the curtain is gone. There's no like.
well, also it's when I really like to see bands is when it's like a small club. I prefer the small club setting.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool light show, some fog.
Yeah.
And send me in. I want to be smoking weed and just sent off into and I only really want to be there for a couple of bands.
I agree.
I'm okay with sitting through the package, but it's like, I don't know. It just is. It's like I would just rather see all of the bands, metal bands who would play tours individually.
Yeah, I agree. The metal, and then also at those types of shows, like, we're gonna know one of the bands.
Yeah.
And I'm getting in.
So it's like we're gonna know the
That's
bands.
not me trying to brag. That's
We're
just
not gonna
what
be
happens.
watching bands. We're gonna be like chatting
hanging
with
out.
bros.
I mean, so I love going to those fests, but I can't really passively go to a metal concert anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And I'm also gonna be like, why am I not playing this? I'm jealous now.
I don't get jealous of that. I also just like.
I don't either. I was just.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's really fun to play festivals. Like it's fun, but that's not the show I would choose to play. If it's like you can play
playing festivals kind of sucks.
It kind of sucks, and it's a lot of work to like get from one point. It's a whole like thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
if you're gonna ask
I
me
will
one
say-
show, the show I'm gonna play if I'm on death row, and they're like, it's not a last meal, it's a last show. I'm choosing a small venue, packed out,
with a good little sound system in there.
with a nice and a crispy sound system.
I
And
mean, I will say
sounds really
a
good.
couple of the most fun days of my life have been at Metal Fest, though.
Yeah, but you know why? It's because we like ate catering there.
Yeah, of course. So
It's
I'm
like
saying,
I got to ride. Okay, I got free alcohol
Rode
and I
on
got
golf
to
carts.
ride on golf carts and then got the best catering of my life.
yeah. So Heavy
It had
Montreal
nothing to
was
do with
like
the show.
the best thing ever. But
So
watching
was
the bands was
Domination.
super sick. And Domination, that was so fun. So
I just liked watching Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit ruled. Have we talked about that on the show before? How they
Definitely.
ruled? We'll probably talk about
Definitely.
it. That's going to be in fucking...
No hate to festivals. They're cool.
Especially
they have
if there's any
their
promoters
place.
listening. We love festivals.
Yeah, we love you.
We love festivals. We were hoping to be on some next year.
Once we put this damn album out.
Yeah.
But, if given the opportunity, would we play one? I mean, if you were given the opportunity, here's the thing you might not know about the band world. That stuff looks good on your resume.
Yeah.
So.
You want to do it. Another thing that Cheney and I we're coming
I'm
at
just
this
kidding.
from an angle that isn't an all-encompassing angle, because playing a fest like on our size band, a smaller band, it's definitely not the same experience as when a big band goes and plays a fest.
Yeah,
right.
we're
And there's
not-
like actually a good size of the crowd knows who you are and wants to see you.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Every time we've played a fest, it's like most of the people are like, "Oh, let's check this band out. That's weird." You know what I mean? I mean, that's just
Yes and no. I mean, I feel
like there's definitely a
there
good
have
amount.
been sick crowds. Like we haven't played a festival where there were less than like
No, there's
1,000
sick
people
crowds
watching
for
us.
sure. But
Mhm.
dude, out of that 1,000, how many of them are like, "I'm an Entheos fan"? You
yeah,
know, we don't know.
totally.
Whereas, when a bigger band, Limp Bizkit hits the stage, everybody knows who they are. That's
There's also the difference of, so when you're in a band like ours, we're incredibly reliant on how much money we make in merch every day.
right.
And when you play a big festival, your merch numbers aren't always equal to what you make at a
Yeah.
show that's packed out, because there's so many more options. And at festivals, it's hard to find where the merch is. Like I
Yeah.
remember, I don't even think at Domination Mexico we ended up
Selling anything.
putting our merch
Yeah, I
up
don't think we
anywhere.
did it, yeah.
We just didn't have,
Yeah, it's weird.
people,
Or
and there were a
someone's doing it
ton of
for you,
people.
or-
There were a ton of people in line after our set who wanted to buy our merch, and they're like, "Can we just buy your merch from you right now?"
I think we did that.
No, we didn't.
Oh, we didn't do
We
that.
should. We
Should have.
looking back, it's like if I would have known, I would have just fucking sold merch
Yeah.
right there. But it was such a huge festival that it was like, by the time you are looking for merch or finding merch, you're like wasted and you forget
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
So-
no, that's true. So I think for the smaller mid-sized bands, fests are really fun, but not as beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're a bigger band, people are like, you're going to be selling your merch.
Totally.
You're going to be playing when maybe it's like, on the bigger stage, and there's, you know what I mean? Just stuff like that. So it's a different experience for the mid-sized to smaller.
Which isn't anything bad about it. I mean, it's
Not at all.
they're fun to play, and
I'm
I feel
just
like
saying we're answering the question from that viewpoint.
totally.
Right. Like, is Slash going to come in here and be like, "Yeah, no, I'm not into it." He's going to be like, "Yeah, Fest are the best thing ever." Like,
I don't know. I wonder what someone in like Guns N' Roses, let's say, would say about playing a festival as opposed to
Yeah, that's true.
playing. But those shows are pretty much the same because their headliner shows are booked at the same places that a huge festival. So to them, it's like, we don't want to. Do they want to play the festival? Maybe if they make like way more money. See,
Yeah.
that's a whole thing with those type of bands, is that they're playing the same size show no matter what, and you got to get paid.
Yeah. So that's a lot. We just hit a lot on the Fest thing.
Fests are cool. I'm going to a dance music festival in a couple of weeks, but yeah, metal festival. I would prefer to see the type of metal that I
Yeah.
love. I feel works better in like a smaller environment.
I mean, another thing is with metal music in particular, it doesn't sound good at fests.
It
sounds
really doesn't.
way better in a small venue.
It
Like,
really does.
even in a big venue, it's like a lot of it gets lost.
It's so true.
So it's all the sickest metal performances that I've seen have been in small venues.
I take it back. There were a lot of bands I really liked seeing at Heavy Montreal. I don't take
Definitely.
it back
No, I'm
because
so-
I
dude, that was
really
great.
don't think I would go out of my way to go to a metal festival, but being there and getting to see all of those bands was really fun.
I mean, at this point, if Ozfest was happening or whatever, I'd be like, we're going.
Maybe.
I'd be trying to go.
Yeah, maybe.
sure.
I just like the way that I grew up was not going to festivals. It was going to a lot
Oh,
of,
definitely
and for you too, it's like the scenes that we grew up in the underground scene. We didn't just like appear as adults and like metal.
Yeah.
Or go to only big shows when we were kids, because there were people who would like only go if Slipknot and Kill Switch came through. We were going to shows.
I'd go shows
DIY
like pretty
shows.
much every weekend.
Dude,
something.
If you weren't going to a show once or twice a week, it was hard to even have a band because no one wanted to support your band. You know, it was a whole thing.
Gonna support the scene. Dude.
So I just like, my nostalgia lies in the small, sweaty ass clubs. So that's, 100%. I think, always, because like I said, none of the festivals were even in Iowa. I didn't go to a metal festival, until I think we played Heavy Montreal.
That's crazy.
That was the first one I went to.
I didn't even know that.
So,
you played it off pretty cool, Shani.
And I was 27 when I went to that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like the nostalgia all lies in the small show.
We should post some pics from that, from when we played Heavy Montreal.
Oh, that was so fun. And we fucking killed it that day. I'm really proud of that day. That was a lot of fun.
That's a good time.
A lot of fun. But yeah, I think it's time to get burritos.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get some burritos, you guys. We wanted to check in, say what's up.
Yeah, let you guys know that we have not gone in another 6-month-long hiatus.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
So
we're teetering.
We're still around.
We didn't even talk about our trip to Florida. Happy 95th to your grandpa who made it through World War II.
That's right.
Concentration camps.
So that's a whole other.
And he's still alive, man. Still kicking. 95.
Peace.
Have a good week, guys.